Hey, you got James co-founder of AccountAim here again for another product release, and this one is around deal scoring, which we're super excited about. So everyone listening probably knows that forecast misses kill credibility, both for the head of sales and for RevOps with the board, which you don't want. But forecasting is hard. Reps are usually optimistic. The CRM is full of noise. And how do I know if a stage 4 deal that's set to close on the last day of the quarter is actually going to close in this quarter as the rep thinks? Really hard to know. Deal scoring is a great tool to solve this, but you have to make sure that you're scoring on behaviors that actually measure buyer intent, which again are hard to find those correlations in the CRM. So I'm going to share today how AccountAim is helping folks do that with deal scoring. So first, the philosophy, we want to build a custom score that's actually predictive for your business. So no black box, no obfuscation. So how we do that is first by understanding deal performance in terms of closing in the quarter that a deal says it will. And so what we want to do is ideally you'll find trends that are clear like this, where one behavior leads to a pretty clear correlation of a higher win rate in the quarter. So here we have an in-quarter win rate for meetings per month for deal. So how often are meetings happening with buyers? We have a win rate for how many days are in the average stage. And then we have a win rate for engagement with collateral. In this case, demo views from a demo tool that can track people who are viewing it. And so the point here is that seller-driven trends that are usually CRM-based, changing a close date, adding a next step, are often included in other deal scores. They actually don't usually correlate well with if a deal is going to close in this quarter, because it's not the buyer driving those things in most cases. It's these buyer intent-driven trends where the buyer is actually active and moving things forward, chatting with you, engaging with content that signify velocity and high predictability of close. And the final thing here is, are you actually measuring these things in the quarter? So you can measure win rates in the CRM fairly easily, but can you actually measure it in the original close date? That's a little bit more challenging to view at scale. It really helps to have a snapshotting tool like AccountAim there. What you want to see here when you build these deal scores is a deal score that is actually correlating with win rate in that quarter. Again, kind of similar to the inputs, but you need the output to be measurable and successful and predictive here as well. And so this sometimes will take some iteration as well over time, which makes sense. So as long as you can view the data, you continue to iterate the score until it makes sense for your business. And just showing here, I mentioned snapshots earlier, how AccountAim is basically tracking deal behavior every single week. In terms of how a deal is progressing with total meetings held, how it's engaging with collateral, and how that feeds into a deal score and its forecastability. So that's a quick overview of kind of how the deal score is created. That's all great, but what can sales reps managers actually do with this information? So first, it actually helps triangulate the forecast for things that will close this quarter. Again, reps are usually a little bit aggressive, CROs maybe a little bit conservative, and there's still the question around timing. This kind of deal score can help understand one, just the predictability of things are going to happen this quarter, which gives people a lot of comfort. Spend less time debating inputs in the CRM and going deal by deal in the pipeline review, and you have this data to back it up. That team can kind of level set around and understand which deals have momentum versus which don't. It also helps managers decide which deals to prioritize going into quarter close, right? So here we can see actual deals for a rep by the score that they're in. So if we start with, those in the 60 range, doing really well, we can drill down here and see, okay, these 3 deals have a ton of momentum. We can see why here in terms of the number of meetings held, how quick they're moving through their stages, the number of those demo views in our demo product viewing platform, et cetera. Let's go make sure these deals get across the line. Probably the ones in the, low momentum 0 to 20 range, not a lot of engagement. Probably not happening in this quarter, even if the CRM says that. Can give more comfort to a manager to deprioritize that for now. We also spot if a particular deal is losing momentum. And so this is the week over week forecast from the deal score for specific deals for this rep. And so, okay, it looks like, Williams is obviously a huge deal here. We can see this, with deal value on the y-axis. And it seems like it's staying pretty steady week to week. It's like that momentum is picking up. Big Techco, on the other hand, while it's just a small sliver of our overall expected value or expected close for the quarter, because it's a land and expand, we can actually see that this green bar is getting smaller and smaller week to week. Okay, so maybe I want to come back down here to our deal by deal data, find Big Techco and understand why it's happening. Okay, it looks like we haven't had as many meetings held recently. Like maybe we need to go engage with them. Can we intervene and actually get this deal momentum back up? So a lot of actual insight here that you can actually use to, one, forecast, of course, but two, actually prioritize deals and understand what's happening in a given rep's book. Super excited to get this out. Looking forward to building more deal scores for other prospects and customers. Of course, reach out if you have any questions.